Well, hey, I guess it's time for the quote-unquote morning drive. Problem is, it's actually about 2 in the afternoon, and I just got done dropping off my daughter at the bus stop to send her back to college from fall break. So I haven't had time this morning to get a morning drive together. And in fact, I don't have the scores in front of me, so I won't be giving you a rundown of the scores today. I do know there was 13 games last night, and I watched bits and pieces of just about all of them. In fact, I was doing some experimenting with the computers I've got at home, and I managed to put 8 games on at once between the television and 3 different computers that I had set up in my office, which is kind of fun. In fact, if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen me tweet out a photograph of all 8 games going at once between on 4 different computer screens, and then a television screen that I've got mounted on the wall above the computer screen. So, in fact, I will also be posting a short video. I think it's about 2.5 minutes long anyway, of me just panning my camera phone from one screen to the next, showing that I had 8 games running at the same time. And in fact, I'll be posting that as well later today along with this video. So, again, back to the hockey. It was a pretty good night of hockey. I watched mostly the Bruins game against Toronto, and I lost interest in that game pretty quickly because Toronto came out and quickly jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and shortly thereafter went out to a 3-0 lead, and they eventually went on to, I believe, a 4-1 final. Bruins came out flat. Hudobin looked a little weak in net, and the announcers were speculating that there may be more to Tuukka Rask's health than they're letting on. They were speculating last night that Tuukka Rask may be hurt, and that's why they didn't go to him at some point, because they were out to a 3-0 lead fairly quickly in the game. And to me, it felt like they probably should have gone to Rask. Rask was on the bench. He was dressed, but there was no other goalies dressed for the Bruins. And they ended up keeping Hudobin in there for the entire game. He did eventually settle down, but Boston couldn't do anything offensively and ended up only scoring just 1 goal in the night. And as far as the Austin Matthews saga, that was his second NHL game. And remember, he scored 4 goals in the first NHL game. He didn't get any last night. I think he might have gotten 1 assist. I could be wrong on that. Again, I don't have any facts in front of me today. We just got in the car to drive my daughter to work. Today it's just me and my 2 dogs. So I've got Nala on the seat beside me, and Bailey's in the seat behind me. So other than that, I don't have any facts. But I did see, what were the other games I saw? Oh, I saw Montreal and Ottawa. Watched a little bit of that game. Ottawa had a 2-0 lead, I think going into the third, or at least halfway through the game anyway. And Montreal came back and won that game 4-3 in overtime. And one thing that surprised me, and I guess I don't watch a lot of Ottawa games, but it seemed like the crowd was cheering more for Montreal than they were for Ottawa. Not surprising. I mean, Ottawa is a relatively new team. Montreal's been around for generations, so that doesn't surprise me a whole lot. But yeah, you would think Ottawa would be able to have more fans than that. But the Montreal fans were definitely louder, because whenever Montreal scored, the place went crazy. Much more crazy, in fact, than whenever Ottawa scored. But anyway, I digress. Some of the other games I saw, I know Calgary had their 3rd game of the season, and I actually went to bed before that game ended. Chicago had their third game of the season already, and they finally won one after losing the first two. And again, it escapes my mind who they played. So I was doing a lot of jumping around last night from game to game. Mostly I was just playing with the NHL.TV package, which is a fantastic package, by the way. You should get it if you don't have it, provided you have a good internet connection, because you need a fairly strong internet connection to pull off a multi-game watching session. The other game I was really watching was a college hockey game. That's probably why I don't remember too many NHL details. I watched University of Maine and Quinnipiac play their second game of a two-game set in Orono, Maine, and that game was a real good game as well. Quinnipiac went out to a 2-0 lead. Maine scratched their way back to tie the game 2-2 with about four minutes left in the. Yeah, it was about 4 minutes left in the third period when Maine tied the game. The game went to overtime, but then Quinnipiac won the game in overtime, much to the disappointment of the Maine crowd. But it bodes well for the University of Maine. This is a team that was picked to finish dead last in the preseason coaches poll. It's a team that is loaded with freshmen and redshirt freshmen, so there's not a lot of experience there, and some of those young kids have been the biggest stars for them so far. Getting a phone call, in case you can't hear it. Wait for the phone call to go away. All right, phone call went away. So anyway, Maine ended up splitting the series with Quinnipiac, which could have gone a lot worse. And of course, the one loss they had, it was an overtime game, so could have gone a lot worse. Earning a game. I mean, Quinnipiac is the number 2 or number 3 team in the country, if you depending on which poll you look at. And overall they had a very successful week. So Maine is now 3-1 after 4 games, and they're in pretty good shape to move on. So I think they're going to gain some attention, and it looks like some teams will not be able to take Maine lightly this year. So I think that's a good thing. So anyway, I'm going to keep it short today because, again, I don't have any of the facts and figures in front of me, but it was a nice, very busy night of action around the NHL with 13 games. And if you didn't watch and you do have the NHL.TV package, you should take a look at some of the action, or at least some of the highlights, because it was a lot of fun to watch last night. It's good to see that hockey is back in full force, and looking forward to the rest of the season now that the first full week is out of the way. As for today, there are only 3 games on the NHL docket. I know the Carolina Hurricanes are playing a game late tonight. They're playing in Vancouver, and I'll be able to watch that game when I get home from, I got to referee 3 games tonight, and I'll get home around 10:30, 11, so I should be getting home right at the tail end of the first period of that game. I'll watch a little bit of that before I go to bed, but other than that, the other 2 games, I think can't remember who's playing, but I know the other games start later on today. There's one at 6, and I believe there's another one at either 7 or 8 tonight. So Sundays, as usual, are usually pretty quiet, particularly this time of year when the NFL is running. The NHL is pretty smart, and they don't try to compete against football, so they don't run a lot of Sunday games. But anyway, all right, so we'll go ahead and end it here, and tomorrow we'll pick it up it'll be a normal morning commute for me. I got to be at work fairly early in the morning, so the morning commute should come out fairly early in the morning. Again, it'll be probably a short one because there's only 3 games tonight, but other than that, it should be a good time. So until next time, we'll see you later.